Morning, everybody. Oops. This is Judd at White Wave Trading Strategies. This is June 12th, Friday morning, pre-IPO of SpaceX. I'm just going to go over a few things that stood out yesterday. It's going to be about 5-6 minutes in lieu of this morning's AM look. There are a few things that stood out yesterday, and it was really things that I saw really early in the morning that were in the metals, especially the silver. Here's a long NASDAQ, short silver. And you can see it was coming up into where it fell apart, where silver took off from in the fourth quarter of last year into the January high. And again here, long S&Ps, short silver. This is the bottom of the quarterly cloud right here. This is where the whole thing fell apart from to begin with. This was the last push in the silver from basically 60 to 120. And now it's come all the way back to retest the breakout level. So I looked at that yesterday morning. I looked at the long S&Ps, short crude. And this basically, on a quarterly basis, came down to big support where the S&Ps should rally against the crude. And the other chart that I thought was particularly interesting yesterday was long crude, short gold. And this is this whole Strait of Hormuz move up in the gold right to momentum yesterday, and the whole thing rolled over and died when silver and gold were massively oversold. Now, what kind of struck out early in the morning was names like Sibanye. Hold on. SYP. If I could type it, it'd be great. All right, I can't type. All right, so we can look at PAS as well. All these names were very oversold. I mean, Sibanye, some of them were down at their 200 days and they just weren't breaking. PAS was down at the balance line and almost down to momentum on the quarterly. It completely blew everybody out and back to these old highs from 2011. So there were plenty of things in the miners, and they all started looking like that. Newmont, all the silver miners, all the small silver miners, they all started bottoming before the metals did. The metals are still breaking while the miners were catching a bid. So I knew something was up, and I looked at the long-term spreads against silver, gold, the indices, crude, and you could tell that they were in areas where something big was going to happen and you were going to get a pretty good turn. You just had to wait for it. And it happened, it took hours. It took the bunds to rally, after they raised rates and the ECB's raised rates for everything really to start to set up to go. Crude oil itself can come down to almost $77. If you look at it on a quarterly basis, it doesn't look like it's going to do much. But if you go to the shorter time frame charts, we can come all the way back down into here again. So I have no real desire to be buying crude. I think you sell the big rallies. Anything up in $87, $88, you give it a shot. Dr. Faber has done a couple of podcasts. He's all these guys, all these metals people are all looking for a big rally here going into the year end. If we get any type of relief and we've got the first sign of it here in the 30-year bond futures yesterday, where after the auction, they came up and they finally settled back out here. It gave some definition of this last down move. You know, any type of stabilization in the rates, you know, the metals have been catching a bid. Now, for me, I think you can buy really hard breaks in the metals again. I still think it's going to take into July, possibly the end of August, for them to really gather some steam. You know, yesterday I bought a lot of ETFs and a lot of different names, and we'll see how they play out today. The indices themselves, you know, NASDAQ bonds are up in a resistance. S&Ps have room for a little bit more to go. The long-term S&P chart kind of broke out. It looks like it wants to go higher. You know, I wanted to buy 7200s. It didn't get down there. All it did was give you a retest, basically back down unchanged on the day yesterday and went. So we'll see how the day goes with this IPO. I think that's going to run a lot of the price. So if you would like to come in and be ahead of the curve with what we're looking at, just go to whitewavetradingstrategies.com and put in your name and email and join us.